The starship shuddered violently as it plummeted through the alien atmosphere of Zyra Prime. J. Park gripped the control panel, his knuckles white and bloodied from desperate emergency repairs. Sparks erupted from fractured electronic panels, casting an eerie red glow across the cockpit. Warning signals screamed their urgent messages, a cacophony of digital distress. Come on, Jay muttered, his fingers dancing across damaged control interfaces. Outside the viewport, swirling purple-green clouds ripped past the vessels. Damaged hull. Another system failed. Then another. The ship was dying, and so was its pilot's hope. Zyra Prime's landscape rushed toward him, a vista of massive rock formations and strange vegetation that seemed to pulse with an unnatural greenish blue. Light. Massive trees with crystalline branches stretched toward the twin suns hanging low in a burnt orange sky. Impact was inevitable. Jay braced himself, activating the emergency crash protocols. The ship's protective energy shields flickered weakly, more a desperate hope than actual protection. Metal screamed against rock. The entire vessel twisted and tumbled, throwing Jay against safety restraints that threatened to snap under the immense pressure. Silence. Darkness. Then, movement. Something large shifted outside the cracked viewport. Shadows blocked the alien sunlight. Enormous hands, each easily 3 times the size of a human hand, began carefully pulling apart the ship's twisted metal frame. Jay awakened to voices. Deep, resonant, alien. "The human survivor lives," a female voice declared. Her tone carried both scientific precision and something else. Curiosity, perhaps even hope. His vision blurred. Massive figures surrounded him, their bodies towering like living skyscrapers. Muscular, powerful, definitely not human. Their skin carried a metallic silver-gray tone with intricate tribal markings that seemed to shimmer and change even as he watched. Biological status? Another voice asked. A scanner passed over Jay's body. Strange symbols flickered across what seemed to be a holographic medical interface floating near his head. Minor injuries. Structural integrity stable. Genetic markers. Interesting, the first voice continued. Jay tried to speak but only managed. A weak cough. The largest figure, clearly their leader, leaned closer. Her eyes were deep amber, with pupils that seemed to shift between circular and slightly elongated shapes. "Rest, human," she commanded. "You are safe." Safe. The word seemed almost ironic given his current situation, crashed on an alien world, surrounded by giant beings who looked at him with an intensity that suggested he represented something far more significant than just a survivor. Little did Jay know, his unexpected arrival would change everything for the Zarian clan. His very existence represented their last hope for survival. The massive chamber where they had placed him hummed with technological complexity. Screens displaying complex genetic sequences covered walls that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Medical droids moved with precise, almost living movements, conducting tests and collecting data. Jay Park, a simple human explorer, had just become the most important individual on an entire alien world. His adventure was just beginning. The Zirian leader, Hana Kim, watched him carefully. Her hand, large enough to crush a human vehicle, gently adjusted medical sensors around his unconscious form. "Our future," she whispered, "depends on him." Outside the medical chamber, Zyra Prime's twin suns continued their slow descent, casting long shadows across a landscape that held secrets far beyond human comprehension. Strange crystalline plants swayed in winds that carried whispers of an ancient waiting civilization. Jay Park slept, unaware that his crash landing would become a moment of profound transformation, not just for himself, but for an entire species, desperate for survival. Jay awakened to a room filled with soft, pulsing light. His body felt heavy but surprisingly pain-free. Massive holographic displays surrounded his medical bed, showing complex genetic sequences that danced and shifted like living mathematics. Hana Kim stood nearby, her towering form blocking much of the chamber's ambient light. When she noticed Jay was conscious, she approached with deliberate, measured steps. "You are the first human we have encountered in 3 planetary cycles," she explained, her voice deep and methodical. Our situation is critical. The chief scientist, Sung-Ho Lee, activated a holographic projection. Instantly, three-dimensional images of Xyrian genetic structures appeared. Red markers indicated severe genetic degradation, like a complex puzzle with missing pieces. Our males died, Hana stated bluntly. A virus. Unexpected. Devastating. The projection showed generations of Xyrian population charts. Where males once represented a significant portion of their society, now only females remained. Their population was slowly dying, unable to reproduce without genetic diversity. Sung-Ho stepped forward, his movements precise like a surgical instrument. Your genetic structure represents our last potential solution. Jay understood immediately. They wanted him to help preserve their species, not through traditional means but through advanced genetic engineering and reproduction protocols. We are not asking for simple reproduction, Hana clarified, sensing his unspoken questions. We require comprehensive genetic integration. Your DNA could restart our entire species' genetic line. The holographic displays began showing potential genetic fusion scenarios. Complex algorithms calculated compatibility, showing potential offspring structures, potential genetic strengths, and probable survival rates. Jay felt overwhelmed. An entire species was looking at him as their potential salvation. What happens if I refuse? He asked quietly. Sung-Ho's expression remained neutral. Extinction becomes inevitable. Our civilization, thousands of years of culture, technology, and evolutionary progress, would simply end. The weight of their request hung in the air, not just a personal choice, but a decision that could determine the fate of an entire intelligent species. Xyrian technology surrounded him. Advanced, beyond human comprehension, medical interfaces that could read genetic structures in milliseconds, diagnostic tools that could predict genetic outcomes with near-perfect accuracy. We will provide complete medical support, Hana continued. Extensive protection, advanced, living conditions. Your genetic contribution would make you more than just a donor. You would become a critical part of our civilization's continuation. Jay looked at the displays, saw the intricate genetic maps, understood the profound responsibility being placed upon him. An entire species was asking him to be their genetic bridge to survival. The chamber remained silent, waiting for his response. Outside, Zira Prime's twin suns continued their eternal dance across the alien sky, unaware of the critical moment unfolding inside this technological sanctuary. Genetic survival, species preservation, a choice that would change everything. J. Park closed his eyes, processing the magnitude of the proposition before him. His decision would determine not just his future, but the future of an entire civilization. The Xyrian leader and scientist waited, patient, hopeful, their entire future balanced on this single moment, on this single human's choice. Survival or extinction hung in the delicate balance of his potential decision. Jay took a deep breath. The scientific laboratory hummed with an electric intensity. Massive holographic screens surrounded Jay, displaying complex genetic structures that twisted and transformed like living artwork. Sung-Ho Lee moved between advanced machinery, his hands dancing across interfaces that seemed to respond to his mere thoughts. We will begin comprehensive testing, he announced, his voice clinical and precise. Genetic probes extended from the surrounding equipment. Thin, almost translucent tendrils that glowed with a soft blue light moved toward Jay. He tried not to flinch as they connected with his skin, creating instant biological maps of his genetic structure. The first tests revealed something unexpected. Jay's genetic makeup showed unusual adaptability, a rare characteristic that made him even more valuable to the Xyrian survival strategy. Fascinating, Sung-Ho muttered, studying the rapidly changing holographic displays. Your genetic markers suggest high mutation resistance. Large screens displayed comparative analyses between human and Xyrian genetic structures. Where most species would show complete incompatibility, Jay's genetics demonstrated remarkable potential for integration. Hana Kim observed from a raised platform, her massive form silhouetted against the laboratory's advanced technology. Every movement of the scientific team was calculated, every test precisely designed to understand the potential of genetic fusion. "We are not simply looking for reproduction," Sung Ho explained, turning to Jay. "We seek complete genetic rehabilitation of our entire species." Elaborate machines began running complex simulations. Potential offspring models appeared, hybrid creatures that combined human and Xerian genetic characteristics. They looked powerful, adaptive, almost perfect. Jay watched in silent amazement. The technology surrounding him was generations beyond human understanding. Machines that could predict genetic outcomes with near-perfect accuracy. Diagnostic tools that read biological information faster than a human could blink. "Your cooperation is voluntary," Hana reminded him. "But the stakes are absolute. Our entire civilization depends on these negotiations. Blood samples, cellular analyses, genetic compatibility tests." Each procedure revealed more about the potential genetic bridge between humans and Xerians. The laboratory felt like a sacred space, part medical facility, part technological temple dedicated to species survival. Sung Ho initiated another round of tests. Complex algorithms calculated potential genetic outcomes, showing probability matrices that danced across multiple holographic screens. "We have identified 17 potential genetic integration scenarios," he announced. "Each offers a 78.6% probability of successful species continuation." Jay realized he was more than just a potential genetic donor. He had become a scientific opportunity, a living bridge between two completely different species. The Xerian technology was breathtaking. Machines that could reconstruct genetic sequences, interfaces that could predict biological outcomes centuries in advance. It was science so advanced it appeared almost magical. "Your unique genetic structure," Sung Ho continued, "presents opportunities we never anticipated." Outside the laboratory, Zera Prime's landscape continued its alien existence. Strange crystalline plants swayed under twin suns. Massive rock formations stood as silent witnesses to this critical moment of scientific negotiation. Jay understood the profound responsibility before him. An entire civilization's future balanced on his genetic potential. "We will provide complete medical support," Hana reminded him. "Advanced living conditions, total protection." The scientific negotiations continued, each test revealing more about the extraordinary potential of human-Xerian genetic integration, survival, evolution, a bridge between two species. The laboratory waited, its advanced machines humming with anticipation. Jay Park stood at the center of a moment that would change everything. The isolation chamber felt both massive and suffocating. Jay sat alone, surrounded by advanced Xerian technology that seemed to breathe with its own consciousness. Communication attempts with human command had failed. No response, no guidance. Was alone. Memories of Earth flickered through his mind. The blue planet seemed impossibly distant now, a tiny memory against the vastness of an alien world. His training hadn't prepared him for this. No protocol covered becoming the potential genetic salvation of an entire alien species. Outside the chamber's transparent walls, Zera Prime's landscape stretched endlessly. Crystalline forests moved with unnatural rhythms. Strange creatures with multiple limbs drifted between massive rock formations. This wasn't just another mission. This was survival. The weight of the Xerian's proposition pressed against his consciousness. An entire civilization depended on his single choice: genetic donation, species preservation, the ultimate responsibility. Jay remembered his grandmother's words, a geneticist who had dedicated her life to understanding human biological potential. "Life finds a way," she would say, sometimes in the most unexpected circumstances. He walked to the chamber's information terminal. Holographic displays activated at his approach, showing detailed records of Xerian civilization. Thousands of years of technological advancement, complex social structures, a civilization on the brink of complete extinction. Their technology was beyond human comprehension, medical interfaces that could predict genetic outcomes centuries in advance, diagnostic tools that read biological information faster than human thoughts could process. But beneath the advanced science, Jay saw something more: desperation, hope, the fundamental desire to survive. The Xerian genetic records told a tragic story. A mysterious virus had systematically destroyed their male population. Generations of scientific effort had failed to create a solution. And then he arrived, a random human survivor, their potential last hope. Hana Kim's words echoed in his mind. Your genetic contribution would make you more than just a donor. You would become a critical part of our civilization's continuation. Personal autonomy versus species survival. A single human's choice determining the future of an entire intelligent civilization. The isolation chamber felt like a philosophical prison. Each passing moment increased the psychological pressure. No communication, no external guidance. Just him and the weight of an impossible decision. Xerian medical simulations continued running in the background. Potential genetic fusion scenarios. Probability matrices showing species survival chances. Complex algorithms that transformed his potential genetic contribution into mathematical hope. Jay understood the profound implications. This wasn't just reproduction. This was genetic resurrection, rebuilding an entire species from a single point of genetic potential. The chamber's ambient lighting shifted, mimicking the emotional complexity of his internal struggle. Soft blues representing contemplation, gentle greens suggesting potential, growth. Advanced technology reading his psychological state. He thought about human explorers throughout history, those who made impossible choices for the greater good, pioneers who risked everything for scientific progression. His decision would place him in that legacy. Outside, Zera Prime's twin suns began their slow descent. Shadows stretched across alien landscapes. The planet itself seemed to wait, holding its collective breath. Personal choice, species survival, the ultimate philosophical and biological dilemma. Jay Park closed his eyes. The weight of an entire civilization rested on his shoulders. One human, billions of potential Xerian lives. His decision would change everything. The isolation chamber remained silent, waiting. Survival or extinction hung in the balance of his potential choice. The great hall of the Xerian clan stretched beyond human comprehension. Massive pillars of crystalline material rose like living architecture, reflecting soft amber light across hundreds of gathered clan members. Jay stood at the center, surrounded by towering figures that represented thousands of years of evolutionary history. Hana Kim stepped forward, her movements carrying the weight of generations. We gather to witness the potential resurrection of our species, she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber. Sung Ho Lee activated the final genetic integration protocols. Holographic displays erupted around Jay, showing complex biological sequences that danced like living mathematics. Each symbol represented hope, each genetic marker a potential future. The ceremonial chamber felt like a bridge between survival and extinction. Xerian elders watched with intense focus. Their eyes, amber and silver-flecked, tracked every movement, every subtle change in the genetic fusion process. This was more than a scientific procedure. This was a sacred ritual of survival. Jay understood the magnitude of his choice. One human, an entire civilization's future. Advanced medical interfaces connected to his body. Gentle tendrils of blue-green energy wrapped around his genetic structure, beginning the complex process of species preservation. The technology was so advanced, it seemed almost magical. Biological engineering that transformed genetic potential into living hope. The first hybrid offspring will represent more than reproduction, Hana explained to the gathered clan. They will be bridges between two civilizations, living proof that survival transcends biological limitations. The chamber hummed with technological anticipation. Machines that could predict genetic outcomes centuries in advance prepared their most complex calculations. Each second brought the Xerian clan closer to potential resurrection. Outside, Zira Prime's twin suns began their final descent. Crystalline forests swayed with an unnatural rhythm. The entire planet seemed to hold its breath. Genetic fusion protocols activated. Complex biological sequences began their transformative dance. Jay felt something fundamental changing within his body. Not pain, not discomfort, but a profound sense of connection. He was becoming more than an individual. He was becoming a genetic bridge. The first successful hybrid embryos appeared on the massive holographic displays. Perfectly formed, combining human adaptability with Zirian evolutionary strengths. They looked powerful, beautiful, impossible. Survival, Sung-Ho whispered, is not just about reproduction. It's about creating new possibilities. Clan members began a low, resonant chant, an ancient ritual celebrating genetic continuation. Their voices created a sound that seemed to vibrate through biological structures themselves. Jay became more than a human survivor. He became a legend. The genetic integration completed. Successful. Perfect. Hybrid offspring began developing in carefully constructed biological chambers. Each one represented hope. Each one a testament to interstellar cooperation. Hana Kim approached Jay, placing a massive hand on his shoulder. In that moment, he was officially adopted into the Zirian clan, more than a donor, more than a survivor. A savior. Welcome home, she said simply. The great hall erupted in celebration. Technological music combined with ancient ritual sounds. Holographic displays showed potential future generations. Zirian civilization would continue. Jay Park had saved an entire species. Outside, Zira Prime's landscapes continued their eternal dance. Twin suns set against alien horizons, a planet that had witnessed the most extraordinary moment of biological resurrection. Survival was no longer a question. It was a promise.